start. Sooners of Oklahoma at 12-0 and still looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barry and Mac Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sport forms coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight on this big win D Mac?
We got the dub, man. Surviving events. By the way, Twitter was smacking today. Hold on, let me send this link. I got folk asking me for the link. My bad. Hold on, let me delete this. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, right, I'm sure they can hear me. Man, look, yeah, I got a lot of emotions. Yeah, the tactician of the game in me has a lot of concerns, but I think this is one of those games, man, where you just kind of take a sigh of relief. You count your lucky stars. You know what I'm saying? Thank God for your 9 lives as a kitty cat. And you accept the dub, man. You know, in so many ways, the game of football is about finding ways to win and or finding ways to lose. And I think OU has built a reputation the last 4 or 5 seasons, even some of the link years, even where we had a tendency to find ways to lose games. And I was on my Twitter feed. I'm not going to call it X. It's Twitter to me. I'm an OG, so I get to do that. I was on Twitter and I said, we had the ball 10-10, I believe. And I said, this is one of those games. A Georgia of today, coached by Kirby Smart, finds a way to win. Mm-hmm. And you're in the game and you know what I'm saying? They've had a bad game and you're just like, oh, this is the possession where they find a way to win. Now, we don't score on that possession. We punt and then they kick a field goal and then we get the busted coverage for Satania and we ended up winning.
Great strategy, by the way. I mean, that was the right move, was to punt right there.
Oh, well, the possession. Well, here you go. The tactician in me says, screw that. Because on first down, we run RPO, and he just needs to give it to Ott. Ott might be to the races.
Ott was going to score. He had the safety, and that was it.
And he doesn't give it to him. He keeps the ball and so like the casual fan, oh, the offense sucks, the O-line sucks. No, the quarterback made another crappy decision on an RPO, which why the hell do we still give him RPO decision? Anyway, there's another play
we'll
where
we'll
go there because there's another play where if it's a real RPO, he also could score a touchdown, but we'll get to that play later. But I'm happy, man. I'm a Sooner. If you're on my Twitter, I posted pictures today. I did 70 minutes on the treadmill. I officially started when we were down 10-3. My Twitter community, we have a little Twitter community that we do. They're like, bro, where's the treadmill? So I said,
break out the treadmill, man.
Let me get my ass on this treadmill.
Let's go.
Get on the treadmill. We immediately score, find a way to win. But man, there's just so many guys there playing well. There's so many guys there who deserve this. I feel like there was a whole class of OU players who never experienced like really big games. You know what I'm saying? Like from the Lincoln Riley, I would say Hurts year, not even Caleb's teams. They never made it to a big game, right? But like the Hurts year, to this crew, I just know from our years all the way to Jalen Hurts, pretty much there was always going to be a championship caliber season in there or at least playoff, factor, top 10 type team. And so it feels good, man. It feels good. I know I'm rambling here, but I just think about the schedule. We looked at the schedule and you say Tennessee, Bama, Mizzou, LSU, and really you got to say Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, right? Mizzou, LSU, that's legit. Guys, we have the number 7 strength of schedule in America. We have the number 8 strength of record, meaning when we played them, were they still a factor in America? So, I have a lot of respects for the team for that. And then I started a Cash App fund for the treadmill. If you want to donate to the treadmill, it's a Cash App $ Damian Mackey. I'm
Let's
there.
go.
$20 donations. We're 4-0 with the treadmill, baby. But nah, man, excited and proud of the guys. That means a lot.
Man, before we jump in and talk about this game tonight, which very interesting stuff. OU made the explosive plays when they needed to, but the offense, once again, DMAC just stuck in the mud. But before we hop into that, this show is brought to you by OU Insider, OUinsider.com. Go over there, get yourself a membership. Recruiting is heating up, man. This team,
Oh yeah.
you've touched on it. You said this a while back. You were a player who was recruited by a big-time university. And granted, OU wasn't what it became at that point, but you were able to see the difference in recruiting versus 98 to 2000, 2001, 2002, and the caliber of player you were bringing in. And guys, OU was bringing in some big time players. There's more to come. They're going to start working on 2028 because of how efficient and effective that they have been. And it is all over on OUinsider.com. DMAC, it felt like for a while OU wanted to lose this game. It was a tale of two sides of the ball. The defense holding serve whenever they needed to, until finally the dam just broke for a moment because of the offense just turning the ball over. It had been too many plays. And then on the offensive side of the ball, you couldn't really run the ball with any sustained success. And then Mateer would find some passes that there were some big plays, but it would end in a turnover. It would end with a turnover on downs. They would just get stalled at midfield and forced to punt and couldn't even get the thing in field goal range, which we know for Sandell, who wasn't as big of a factor in this one as we might have thought. He did hit the lone important one. At the end of the day, OU scored 17. This was a game where the Sooners seemingly could have put it away. If you're just looking at the teams on paper, who has been LSU for this year, who has been Oklahoma for this year, it felt like it could have gone the way of OU South Carolina, but it didn't, right? LSU, that they have a lot of talent. Harold Perkins gets the early INT, and I think that just started the cascade of events. And it was almost not too dissimilar from OU Bama for a large chunk of the game, but the other way, where Oklahoma ends up outgaining them 393 to 198. I think LSU at one point had like 100 yards of total offense, but still had a 7-point lead. It was something crazy like that. Pass yards, LSU finishes with 113, 318 for Mateer, but with the 3 picks, it just wasn't a good day. And we will talk about some of the stuff with him, man. Penalties, huge killer in this one. LSU had a drive where OU's 2 15-yard penalties continued what would have been a stalled drive. And that was massive. Time of possession about equal, but it was really the 3 turnovers. The 3 turnovers, Mateer's inability to see the field, to drive the ball when he needs to make easy throws. Before we go into both sides of the ball, DMAC, just give me like your 2 to 3 big highlights of this one. Sort of when you read the headline tonight, when you read the headline tomorrow, what does it say about this Sooners performance?
I think the number one thing is how important the quarterback position is in college football today. Again, we talked about it early in the year, from the NFL down to basically Pee Wee. When I was playing Pee Wee football, the best player was your running back. And you would throw pitch left, pitch right, reverse. You put your fastest receiver at the receiver, or your fastest kid receiver, and you do the reverses. The quarterback is bar none the most impactful, important, and needs to be the most intelligent player on the field. And I think today is a very clear indication. Here's what today captioned for me. We need a quarterback going into next season. And I don't know if that's economically, but also just football wise. BV's got the team cooking, the belief cooking. Guys, you could see the culture again, very reminiscent of a Georgia team. Somebody was, they're probably going to listen to this, but Barry, you'll get a kick out of this. Last week in the comments, I never said it, but the guy said it 3 times in the comments. And if he's on, please post it again. But if you remember when we lost, when BV said we're going to hire a new OC, And who did I say we should get? Do you remember?
Oh, it was one of the assistants at Georgia. It wasn't
Whoever
Bobo,
was the
was it?
assistant OC
Yeah.
at Georgia. I don't
Yep.
even know who the person is. Look that person up. And so, right, it was tongue in cheek, but I also was being. If I was a coach, it's something I would have sincerely looked into, just
Mhm.
because of the structure, the infrastructure, right, and kind of the tonality of how they play the game. But um, I think it's very important that we were in the game like this and then found a way to win. I think the defense putting the game on their shoulders essentially the entire game and saying we got you is also
Mhm.
boss. Shout out to Peyton Bowen. He makes the game saving play in the first quarter when Mateer.
Huge
By the
play.
way, that first pick is trash by Mateer. By the way, that first pick is trash by Ben Arbuckle. The double slant on 3rd and 5, and they're playing man. We got to run a rub route. We got to run a man beater. Why are we running a double slant when they've got a 6'5" corner who's a true freshman, the number 1 corner in America, and then they got the best corner in college football, by the way, who's a cousin of one of my really good friends, Delaney. Like we shouldn't be running double slants. We should be running some type of trips rub route, which is a man beater. Okay, but aside from that, man, I just think the quarterback position, and when we get to him, I'm going to pick apart some of the decisions specifically that he made. I took some notes, and guys, there's some bad ones. Some bad ones are catches that should be bigger catches. Some bad ones are not reading coverage and putting the ball where it could be a big play. And then some is just
Mhm.
inaccuracy, right? Unnecessary arm angles and backing up and just not in rhythm throws. The one of his best throws of the night is the one he throws at the referee's head, and Giovanni and JV
Yeah.
drops it because of the distraction, right? That's he stepped into that throw, and that's one of his best throws of the night. But I think that one's a big deal. I think the identity of the team is the defense. I said on my Twitter, after the 3rd pick, so after the 2nd pick, people were like, put in Hawk, put in Hawk, put in Hawk. And I was like, I said, heart says Hawkins, my head says Mateer. The
Yeah.
last thing Hawkins needs is to be put in that game under that type of pressure behind, right? And then be expected to go win the game as a guy who they haven't played. What could have been better? I said it 2 weeks ago. Coming off that other bye, had they created a Hawk package, then it could make sense to integrate him in second half of the
Sure.
game. But you can't bring him in cold after
No.
4 or 5 games, right? He hasn't played in anybody since Kent State or whatever game. Yeah, I think it's Kent State. No, you
Yep.
can't do that. That my head is saying, my emotions want to do that, but it doesn't make sense. Um, Honestly, Barry, I wouldn't be opposed to a quarterback competition going into the playoffs. He played terrible today.
It was
To
bad.
the 191 people on this call, the inflated stats. One is by a quick screen, which my God, they finally popped one. Thank God they're bringing pressure the opposite way. The defense is having to rotate to the screen. All the linemen have to do is wall out the rotation, which they do a great job. Burks, he doesn't impress me as a 4-3 guy. He looks like a 4
He's
five,
not a
four
4-3
five
guy.
seven guy. Yeah,
10 more
that corner
yards he's caught.
that corner's catching him fast, and he's kind of hot
100%.
dog. He's kind of hot dogging it, but nah, he was trying to run too. He's a 4-5 guy, which is fine. That's all you need to be a successful receiver. And then Satania is a bust. The beautiful thing on that play, which is something I have harbored an ailment for all year, is the tempo. The tempo is the touchdown. They
Sure.
weren't able to get set how they wanted to, and they were doing a rotating coverage. They were clouding to the field. It was center of the field. So I don't know. They were clouding to our sideline. They were rotating to our sideline, putting an additional offender into that area, and the place, I guess it would be your backside backer. They had I think it's Perkins. He has to carry, and he just doesn't carry. And so Satania's wide open in the slot. Beautiful. I'm glad on that play. Also, Mateer just stepped into the throw. Thank God he didn't do something crazy. But he played terrible. And I don't want to say he played inconsistent. I don't want to say he played bad. I don't want to say 21 other starters and 84 other scholarship players almost lost the opportunity to play in the playoffs because our quarterback simply couldn't execute.
Bad.
And when you ask me about, my overarching thoughts in this game is the quarterback guys, the receivers don't look near as bad if he just makes the plays that are available. Giovanni Gibson probably has a 40 or 50-yard run down the sideline if he simply throws a nerf on the under route.
Lob
Kanik,
it there.
oh,
Yeah.
it's a nerve. It's just a nerve.
Yeah.
Kanik on our first or our second drive, we're going in to score, and it's third down. They're playing, and I'm gonna break this down more. This is one we need to chalk if we do a chalk, but they're playing man coverage and they're disguising it. The guy who ends up man on Kanik is the high safety who's over the guard. Kanik is in the slot. We're running some type of corner out route. There's no way in America. It's also bad by Kanik because he's a first year receiver. He should know, oh, I'm just going to run away from him and give him no
Mhm.
angle. There's no angle the safety should be able to get there. Mateer throws a ball that makes a ball like that makes the safety being able to get into the play. If Kanik runs a speed out, he can't get there. But if Mateer just leads him away,
Yeah,
right? It's a good design. Our number one receiver stays tight, so the corner hugs on him. So now Kanik has that whole back third behind that corner and our receiver. Terrible execution. Um, yeah, so our quarterback played terrible. I don't go as far as to say he's a terrible player because he's done enough this year to merit not being termed that. But here's what I will 100% stand 10 toes down on. He is absolutely atrocious for anything in seven figures. It's
for
the
sure.
return on investment is so bad. His return on investment is almost as bad as Ott is at 800 or whatever he got, just because there's other alternatives in the running back stable, and the quarterback touches the ball every play. It's terrible. I don't want to downplay how bad it is. I don't care that we made plays in the fourth quarter. That's a team effort. The defense continued to make stops. Running backs made plays. The um okay, everyone talks about, oh, Bama gave it away. LSU kind of gave it away on defense. It was a bust.
Yeah.
Mateer didn't like pull the trigger and make an amazing play that like, oh man, all of that stuff is forgiven. That didn't happen. They had a bust. Um, the biggest reason that happened is because of tempo. And then on the
Mhm.
other touchdown, it's a tunnel screen. And the biggest reason the tunnel screen works is because they are blitzing the opposite side, which means they've got to rotate coverage. So we catch them in the perfect play. That has nothing to do with the quarterback. Somebody says Mateer is fair. Mateer was terrible today. The stats will look good. The plays will look good, but we scored two TDs on a busted coverage and the right play at the right time with the right coverage. Has not any of the quarterbacks on our team could have made that throw.
Yeah, all schemed up
Any of
stuff.
them.
Yeah.
Any of them. The second pick, he's never open, and he bird dogs Kanik the entire time. They show the behind the quarterback view more today, which is why I like the ABC picture. Kanik gets carried the entire play. The second level defender's carrying him, and the safety's just sitting there. Like there's no, and he's bird dogging him. His head is looking at him the entire time. That is absolutely terrible
Well,
quarterback
even
play.
worse on that, they were offsides. So why are you even throwing it to Kanik anyway?
No,
When
I'm
you
talking about
could
the pick. They weren't
oh the
offsides.
oh
The
on the
interception
on the
when
second pick, it was might
on
have been the
their
second
sec
oh
on their second pick, there nobody was offsides. Satania catches a great ball on third and long. It's a good throw, good play design. He's running across the formation. We're all excited because he just made a big play. The very next play, 1st and 10, we run all six routes. Six routes is our old language, go routes. We run all go routes, and I think it's kind of a Kanik on a jerk route, which is you run like a step to the corner, and then it's kind of like
mhm.
a post corner post kind of a scenario. The safety never bites on anything. He's just over the top. He sees it. He undercuts it. Mateer bird dogs him,
Mm.
and the second level defender carries it. It's not even close to open. Like, what are we doing? And so again, right? I'm a Sooner. We're back in the playoffs. Hopefully, and we've had 100 people get on since we first started the call. I am ecstatic that OU. By the way, we earned the right. All four of these games we won. Not one of these games the other team gave it to us. Some of the link years we got lucky or whatever, a lucky bounce. We didn't get lucky in any of these games. We played a junkyard dog schedule and won the game.
Yeah.
If you ask me how our quarterback played tonight, it was terrible. It was an F. I don't care about those two TDs. He was an F because the entire program, 21 other starters, 84 other scholarship players, almost missed the playoffs simply by the decisions he made. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I see the comments about development and about what he's going to be in the coming year. This isn't really a development game as much anymore, especially at quarterback at the top schools. At the top schools, you go get a Dante Moore, you go get a Gunnar Stockton level talent, a talent. Even Oregon last year going and getting Dylan Gabriel. I mean, we talked about Dylan, but that's still a good move by them. They almost win a national championship because of it, and he made their offense go. If a player is not performing, the issue, and I like your point just on the 2 touchdown plays, because they were calls that generated touchdowns, but Oklahoma never needed to be in that position in the first place. Like, one of the reasons that they can't run the ball is because the entire defense for LSU has
threat.
zero fear. Zero. Those guys, they play man with no fear. And it was them. They ran more zone in the second half, which was curious because Mateer had a little more success against the zone than he did them playing man straight up. So that's a curiosity. Why did they do that? What was the issue there? But the Mateer, that team should have never been in that position anyway. This is a game that if OU just has Van Buren on the other side, who, guys, I know people will say what they say. Mechanically, he's better. He has a better sense of the pocket. He throws on the run better. He has a more accurate ball. There's a reason why Oklahoma wanted him, that they went after Van Buren. So he's a talented quarterback. And if you're going to pay the player, if they're going to take up such a large chunk of your cap, of your salary, you cannot have players who keep you from getting other elite players if they then will not be elite. That's how you end up as an NFL team, for instance. That's how you end up as the Seahawks towards the end of Russell Wilson's career, or any team where you're just overpaying any one player who's not a plus every time he's on the field. If that's Baker, if that's, any other elite quarterback who is making your team better, that it is all worth the money. But if you could go recruit a guy, right, that they got the quarterback coming in this season, if he is a player, you let the competition take place. I'm a little different on the Hawkins deal. Hawkins has just yet to impress. Against Kent State, he still had issues. But to your point, one of the things that could have been advantageous is had they had some packages for him, and let's say in this game, they come in and run a package or two and it has success, you're able to make that work a little better within the flow of the game where Mateer's feelings aren't as affected versus you just straight up jerk him and put Hawkins in the game, which then you're talking about a totally different story. You're pulling your starting quarterback who's been there through the fire with you all year for your backup going right into the playoff. And I'm sure that was a factor in OU not benching Mateer and letting Hawkins play and not letting him play. Like that's the piece. You don't want to do it then. I would, however, be surprised if they don't have something for the playoff with Hawkins. I would have to imagine that they have something put together, unless Hawkins before the playoff says, I'm going to hit the portal, which I don't see Hawkins being that type of player. But you never know. There's been a lot of players the past few seasons, even though their team is in the college football playoff, that have said, I'm going to go ahead and hit the portal. I'm going to shut it down, and then best of luck to you guys. Defensively, though, that was what at one time LSU, I think, was 1 of 8 on third down, big picture when it came to the defense. And they made the stops when they needed to. So saving Mateer for the back half again as we close it down. Let's go defensive side of the ball. Let's talk positives, talk some of the successful things that they did. Instead of with the front seven, D-Mac, let's start on the back end, because there was some good, there was some bad. At one point, I believe it was the drive after OU goes, it was the drive when LSU went up 13-10 and LSU got the ball back one more time. And it felt like this was a very meaningful drive, and OU had a number of their twos in the on defense. Yeah, 7, 19, who doesn't always play like a 2, but has had some struggles at times, especially with some of the perimeter stuff, some of the screen stuff, and didn't see as much Eli Bowen that I felt in this game. He was relatively quiet. It felt like they equaled up those snaps a little more. 4, 23, 19. It felt like they divvied that up a little more equally. But starting in that back half of the defense, D-Mac, how do you feel that the secondary played?
They play well. They've played well the last 2 weeks, and granted, we've played against two teams who haven't been extremely, great juggernauts on the offensive side of the ball. But even Devon, so Eli played a lot of nub corner. I swear people listen to the pod. I swear. Eli played a couple snaps. If you guys go back and watch the film, he played a couple snaps at backer. McKenzie played a couple snaps at safety. Like BV was cooking. I'm telling you, he was cooking. And if you watch the last play of the game, BV calls timeout and he puts Peyton Bowen as the edge defender. He says D end. D ends are just so accustomed to coming upfield, turning that corner. If a quarterback gets one step, they're able to lose contain. Knowing Van Buren is a plus athlete, he literally put Bowen at the edge defender, which is phenomenal. By the way, that's why he makes the play. Phenomenal job by BV there, but I don't have a big issue with the DB rotation. Again, I think Peyton listens to the pod, right? Peyton is like, I am not a 5-star Jag. You talk about guy turning the corner and being a game-changing, game-saving player 2 weeks in a row, and probably the last month, the best defensive player on the team or in the secondary, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's night. The light is coming on. I hope he understands what's ahead of him and says, I can come back and be a Caleb Downs type of safety next year, the best in America type on a best in American type defense. You get a Peyton coming back, a Kip coming back, those three D linemen coming back, even get Grayson could come back. You get those guys to come back. God forbid you get RMT to come back. I think RMT could theoretically come back. I think he has a year because of the COVID. Yeah, theoretically, you get RMT to come back if he doesn't get a first round grade. Guys, we're talking about a historically good defense, and you add a couple extra fixtures. I saw Okoye play well. I know you asked me about this secondary.
Sure, no. Did you hear Venables did you hear Venables sort of underhanded compliment about Bowen that they talked about on the broadcast, being like, man, I thought Venables, they asked him about Bowen. He said he's been, great for us, but I would have thought by this time in the career he'd have
way more interceptions. Oh yeah. He said he had 13. So BV agrees with us, right?
Yeah.
By the way, somebody went on my Twitter like, he's not a Jag. I was like, he's not a Jag. He's a 5-star Jag. A regular Jag never sees the field. A 5-star Jag is a dude who's serviceable, just not like amazing. But he was like in his feelings.
But he's been incredible the past 3 weeks.
He's played amazing.
Run, been phenomenal.
Yeah. RSJ was clean. They were clean. Boggs was clean. Again, we're playing against a team that's not an offensive juggernaut. I'll talk about Samuel's mental bust. Everybody saw it. The entire country saw it. If the kid catches the ball, he's running. It's the same play that Helms is going to run the ball for 40 yards down the sideline. If Mateer can just throw a nerf, that guy's going to run for 30 yards minimum. If we can, or if Samuel, and what does BV do? Take him out the very next play.
Next play,
He's out of there. So secondary is good, man. They played well. Obviously, we know when we go against the likes of a Chambliss, if we go against the likes of an Aguilar, if we go against the likes of a Ty Simpson, they are susceptible to being taken advantage of. But in a game where we couldn't give up the play, LSU gave up the play. LSU gave up the booty, right? They had a defensive misfire and a mental bust. They had a mental bust that cost them the game. And so salute to those crew. Salute to the back end. They played well. They tackled well. LSU played extremely conservative with the puppy, but the plays that were there to be made, our guys made the plays.
And I did see the comments about the senior day stuff. I do believe RMT's got one more season, COVID or not. I think he's got one more year because I don't remember him being eligible. Maybe he was last year. Either way, even though they took part in senior day, Parker talked about this earlier, it does not necessarily mean that they are leaving. right? Especially too, we're talking about contracts still need to get negotiated, new incentives, new things that might keep them there. They got to get their draft grade back, right? They got to know where they're going. They might say, do I want to go risk being a practice squad guy for 2 to 3 years, or do I keep up in my value so that I can be a higher round pick and have a real opportunity? So just because they participated, I think if Satania comes back with a better quarterback, and even in Arbuckle's system, DMAC, just a better quarterback, he's 1,000-yard receiver easily. He should have been 1,000-yard receiver this year.
What do you
He's
end with?
been
850.
like 850, 860, somewhere in that range. I can't remember what he ended up with tonight. I think he came in with like 740 tonight. So he probably ends up with just a shade under 850. But if he stays one more year, he's 1,000-yard receiver. And in today's NFL, a guy who is that fast, catches the ball well, plays tough, gritty, good change of direction, a really elite change of direction, can catch punts, can be a returner, can be a threat in all aspects of the return game, could be a gunner, could be, you name it. He's physical enough to do a lot. A guy like that, he stays one more year as a 1,000-yard receiver, all SEC. He's going to get drafted higher. He's going to be much more of a factor this season if he leaves. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I want to talk backer, DMAC, because this was a game where LSU's O-line, not great this year. They have players, but just with the coaching discombobulation, the way the season has gone, the quarterback switch going from Nussmeier to Van Buren, it's just been a recipe for disaster. I know a few weeks ago, Caden Durham was banged up. We see Caden Durham tonight. He actually has a few solid runs. I felt he had some runs that kept OU in it. And there were some mistakes, some errors. You had, Bauer Sharp leak out, catch the pass on the trick play for the first down. I believe LSU tried the trick. I believe they did that twice in this game, or at least a variation of each. The backers struggled at times in coverage, but when it came to stopping the run game, they were able to put LSU in some long to go situations, which is really what Venable's defense has been built on. I saw the stat: 47% of opponents' plays go for a yard or less this season against Oklahoma. That is just an insane stat. And that is all about having penetration at the line of scrimmage and then have backers who just fly into the gaps, right? You have to have guys who are aggressive and take good angles. That's been, I think I told you the other day, I went back, I can't remember what game it was. It was OU Cincinnati of 23. And just looking at the defense then to now, just 2 years removed, the size of the guys, the speed of the guys, but not just that, technically the angles they take, right? The way they attack the ball carrier, the way they position other guys to be able to be successful within the defense. So DMAC backer, I know we've already brought up Samuel Masigo, some of his things, but McKenzie seemed to play well. A quieter night for Kit, but he was still a factor. LSU had to multiple times bring in an extra player for protection because he was blitzing, trying to get home. So talk about that a little bit.
They were sound. Listen, BV runs a one gap defense. Guys are responsible for their gap. A couple of times the edge got pulled in. I think it was one time it's PJ. PJ gets kind of reached. He doesn't get reached. It's a stalemate, and that's how they get the edge. But, I mean, you go down the list. By the way, Samuel played well. I did notice that BV went to Kip playing 2 possessions before the other guys subbed in. So I think I believe, just based upon how I know coaches and how the snaps have gone the last 2 weeks, I believe BV has kind of demoted his reps just a bit because it wasn't 50-50 like it was 3-4 games ago, which was pissing me off. Like, what the H are we doing, right? Kip was getting the lion's share of the plays, and then they even mismatched him a little bit. But Sammy had a couple of really good plays in the first half. He makes some good plays, and again, he's not he doesn't suck. He's just relative. It's not worth the risk. The play he has where he misses could have been the big play they needed. So,
Yeah.
but all those guys played well. I saw Heine had a miss on a play, but it wasn't bad. He had backup. He just kind of misses the clean slate. He has another run through. Heineke has about one a game. He gets in the B gap and he's cleaning stuff up pretty good. Kendall was really good in coverage at the second level. He was buzzing the flats and covering up those underneath stuff. He had some really good, strong stuff in there. I mean, the defense gave up 190 yards.
Yeah.
You know what
You
I'm
play
saying?
good.
And again, we know that the team we're playing against has a freshman and he's conservative, or they were conservative with the game plan. You know, it's interesting that possession you're talking about, where we're down 3 and they're possessing the ball. They opened it up a little bit and they kind of ran a semi rollout and then he reversed back and ran the curl backside and he hits the guy in the strike. Like Van Buren's going to be trouble. If Kiffin takes that job, he has his Chambliss for the next couple of years. Van Buren's a little taller than him. Chambliss is 5'10". I think Van Buren is like 6 foot, 5'11" and a
Mhm.
half.
Yeah.
But the kid can run and the kid can throw. And in an offense like Lane's, that he's going to cook if the kid decides to stay and Lane stays.
Yeah.
Backers played well. I don't, there isn't any huge discussions to speak to. All of them were pretty sound and dominated their gap as need be. I think the thing that's worth mentioning is how often you see Kip and Owen Heineke in on passing downs. It's just very apparent now that they understand the better athletes, the quicker COD guys need to be in the game with Kendall Daniels, right? When those downs, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11, those guys can cover grass better or move in grass better and be more impactful on defense. Solid
But
game by the Packers.
especially with a guy like Van Buren, I think we've now seen it where we've got some data on this. When OU is playing a guy who is mobile, I know we're not breaking any ground, in this case, but Chambliss was a major factor with his feet. If OU were to play a team like A&M and a Marcel Reed, a guy like that, big factor with his feet. And then you have tonight with Van Buren, he just makes the times where OU would play a Ty Simpson and get home. Van Buren was able to get outside the pocket, make something happen, not take the sack, get to the throwaway. And that really has been what it's not. The defense played good, but it didn't feel like they had the same explosive TFLs, explosive game-changing plays on the quarterback like
Well,
they
I'll say
have
this.
had.
They
Go
ran a lot
for
of
it.
quick game and screen game. So it's
They
very
did.
difficult.
LSU runs a lot of
Yeah,
screen game.
very conservative when they're not doing progression routes. That's why we were able to get to Alabama because they were trying to run progression routes. That's why we were able to get to Tennessee because they were running progression routes. So when you're just doing quick game, one step look and then kind of scramble and throw away
Yeah.
against a jitterbug quarterback, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, well, which OU played the screen game really well. That was one of the
Yeah.
things coming into it where you were going to have defensive linemen who didn't try to be heroes. You were going to have to have backers and defensive backs stay disciplined, which it seemed like they did. Front 7, again, really front 4, played solid as a unit. Anytime you are holding a team under 200 yards total, it was a good day in the office. Hold them to 13 points. LSU has not been a great offense this season, but they have explosive players. Another solid game by 44. It wasn't statistically a wine game like we've been accustomed to, but Halton stood out big time in this game. Almost intercepts the reverse, which just would have been a major game-changing play. The ball was just not quite bouncing Oklahoma's way tonight on some of those, man. I know they also had a couple passes batted in the air that they just didn't come down with. But Halton played extraordinary. David Stone, once again, while Jaden Jackson is trying to get back to Jaden Jackson form, which I think by playoff, especially if Oklahoma plays Notre Dame, they are going to need him big time. Jaden Jackson is going to be huge. And I think OU, I've heard all the stuff. I think Oklahoma matches up good against Notre Dame. They've already played the best rushing attack in the country in Missouri and shut down Ahmad Hardy, right? Notre Dame, well, we'll see, right? OU has played a much higher level of competition thus far, especially along the fronts. The fronts that Oklahoma has played, Notre Dame hasn't even seen a front anywhere close to what Oklahoma is going to roll out there. And Oklahoma, I don't know if that's maybe the third or fourth best O line that they'll play all year, right? Notre
No,
Dame's good,
they're
yeah,
up there.
but
Notre Dame is top 1, 2, or 3 up there. Oh, Notre
you
Dame
think
is
so?
built.
Okay,
Yeah, they're built to
okay.
lean on you and run the ball for sure.
So either way, I think Oklahoma ends up matching up well. I
I do
think
too.
it plays into their hand. But how do you think those guys on the edge tonight play, D-Mac, and those guys in the middle?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say as of right now, Grayson Halton and David Stoney are two best defensive tackles. Those guys have been showing up the most over the last 3 or 4 games. Again, Jaden has the injury, I believe, against Tennessee, same game as RMT, and then Alabama. He kind of tries to play through it. Um, he just offers a different skill set than those guys do. And in these particular games, we've needed them to be gap penetrators, which both of them are really, really good at. Grayson I think it's a touchdown saving play. He cross faces his guard. They're trying to run action, or they're trying to everyone stepping in unison, kind of like um uh a zone assignment. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart, but they're running zone to the side where they're running this little jet sweep, and then they're running that reverse. If Grayson doesn't cross face, and I mean, he could have mitted it. He almost, if I think if
He
he has a little
almost
bit bigger
did.
hands, he could have just stuck in his hand. But hell
Yeah,
of a play. The entire backside's wide open, and so I don't know if somebody could have gotten there. That kid who's coming down is a fast kid. I think he's the guy who got the kick return on us.
yeah,
Um, that plays a big deal. D tackle. I mean, we have the best run defense in America. We have the most sacks in America. I mean, that says a lot about the crew. I think PJ is coming into his own too.
yeah,
PJ is not RMT, and he'll never be the very agile, super change of direction guy, but he is learning and to understand his body. There's a play where, again, BV's in his bag. um, PJ is a second level defender. I don't know if you noticed it, but
yeah.
we've got
I know
we've got a
every time
backer.
PJ is at the second level, I notice it. Every time they have him, like he'll like 2 or 3 times a game, he's covering a tight
Oh
end.
no,
He's
but he
got to
wasn't
back out the
covering.
backfield. He was just playing
He
in space.
Oh, yeah. Well, what it is pre-snap. He's 2 yards off the ball. He's coming. He's coming. He's like a backer blitzing through one of the gaps. So his gap is still his gap, but he's off the line of scrimmage. And so it was just really. And what I think they're doing is giving him a head start because he's probably cock diesel strong and has the
Yeah,
ability to when he gets his girth into you, the ability to make some stuff happen. I think the quarterback, personal foul is a terrible play. He's hitting him as the kid is throwing the ball, and he immediately like turns off of him. I get the whole don't drive him to the ground, but to me that's an absolutely atrocious call. The face mask is an atrocious call. They call it on four who's being face masked out of bounds by the receiver. They call it
yeah.
on Guillory and
Officiating
Kendall.
was not
Oh, it
good.
was sus. It was sus. Oh, there was there a pause moment. My bad. But yeah, he's being face. Both of them are face masking each other. I'm like, bro, the receiver is face masking him out of bounds. They call it on four. Kendall Daniels got a baby face mask on that play, so maybe they called the wrong number. But it doesn't help when the refs are, seem to always be, especially at home games. Like, bro, can we get some love? We're not playing Texas. Like, can you guys stop hating on us? Uh, but the D line they're special, man. It's a special group. I'm glad we're going to be able to enjoy them again in the playoffs. I think the defense is good enough to not get, you know, beat down by anybody.
Yeah,
I watched pretty much the first 3 quarters of that game.
watch
Ohio
that
State's
whole
really good.
game. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think Ohio State is Georgia. They are so fundamentally sound and understand what players they have and how to use them effectively. That's going to be a scary, if we ever run into those guys, that's going to be a game that we have to be concerned about. But our defense matches up pretty well against anybody. I think that our secondary, I believe, they are feeling themselves. I think they're finally like, yo, we're dope
yeah.
too. And that's a big part of it. But everybody's got a 6'4", 6'5" dude who they're going to try and line up on our 5'9", 5'10" corner. And so that's I think that's a personnel thing that we can't necessarily fix this season. Obviously, we could go with Jacoby and Guillory and be a little taller, but it is what it is. Defense as a whole, championship caliber team. They needed to hold the line all game. From the very first possession, we throw a pick and they get the pick back the next play. To the very end of the game, we need to stop the possession. And Peyton Bowen's playing the edge defender. He's the contained defender on the end of the line of scrimmage, and he puts Van Buren in that pickle and then is able to get his hand on the ball. Championship caliber, man. Those guys across the board, all three levels, they deserve a 90% plus.
Yeah, I mean, OU is going to have so many games in the playoff. I mean, you're so hard to beat when you can defend with your front four and really front three, when you can either get pressure and or stop the run and then just kind of, play the matchups, put guys. BV has so much freedom to be flexible and be multiple, if you will, just because of what he has up front. You're not having to bring extra defenders down into the box in order to shut things down. It is merely a strategic thing at this point for Venables if he wants to do that. It's not out of necessity like teams with poor defensive lines are forced to play in college football today. They just have enough guys. You would like to see Jaden Jackson completely healthy. I think if he is totally healthy, which OU released a video the other day where he was it's one of the little short things. And Jaden was so noticeably limping awful in the video. I mean, it was a noticeable limp. So you want him to get better. And I think with these couple weeks off, OU kind of knowing where they're at, they can at least breathe a sigh of relief for a second.
Conference championship to worry about.
Yeah, man. Watch Tate Sandell go win the Luke Rosa award, but be there to support that guy. I think he might be OU's only award winner this year. I'm trying to think if anybody else is up for anything before we move over to the offense. I think it's Sandell. Chat, if there's any other player who's up for an award this season, let me know. I'm surprised OU doesn't have anybody along the defensive line with as good as they've been on the defensive line.
I think if RMT doesn't miss out on some games, he's probably there. But
that's true.
D-line is generally a senior award. It's generally a senior type dude who's been around the block. You got to kind of wait your turn for that award.
Yeah, and you've really got to have some glory stats. That's a good point. You got to have either sacks, a TFL number, have some highlight plays, or just be, so above and beyond like a Quinnen Williams was or Tommy Harris was in his year. You got to just really stand out amongst the pack. And the issue is OU just has multiple guys, right?
Yeah.
Jackson, Stone, Halton. You've got guys on the edge like a Wine, Okoye, just multiple players. I wanted to comment about PJ. Was going to do a video on him. He has, maybe I touched on this last week. You talk about a guy where strength and conditioning and just his work that he has put in has changed his trajectory entirely, man. He was not a good mover when he got to Oklahoma. You talk about a guy who was 5-star off of size, length, and potential only. Like he did not, he moved in a straight line, okay. But if he had to stop, if he had to regain his balance, if he had to turn and go one way or the other, he was not a fluid mover like RMT, or he wasn't even as fluid as like a Halton. They weren't even in the same ballpark in terms of fluidity on their feet. So to see what he has become, how well he plays and how well he uses his body now is just massive. Having him be a great support this season when RMT has gone down has been monstrous. I think OU is really fortunate that they have him. They were able to get an MJJ in the portal. It's just been it's been a good season for the defense.
Yeah. For sure.
It's been a good year. So moving over to the offensive side of the ball, D-Mac, we usually don't start. Well, I guess the last couple weeks we started with first. We'll roll with it again. The offensive line, missing Jake Myakula. I saw somebody bring it up in the chat. Got to give 54 his flowers. No major snap issues tonight. The run game did not seem quite as pristine as it has been, but because you don't have 70 at right tackle, that was a factor. You got Derek Simmons out there. OU shuffled some players a little bit. I think they had found their groove with those 5, but from the sounds of it, I think Myakula is going to be back. So it doesn't seem like it's a major worry. You just had to get through this game, and let 54 hopefully not have any major glaring hiccups, get through, get to the other side of this thing and get the win. But watching the O-line, D-Mac, I know they had their errors tonight, and I'll talk about in a second, but just your thoughts on how they played today.
I think they were fine. You're playing against a very talented defense that has really good players. They're going to make some plays. I think a lot of the offensive line production is based upon the scheme and or play design and development of the offensive coordinator. We didn't just have guys getting beat. That was if you go back and watch film from last year, we had guys getting their ass kicked. Derek Simmons had a couple games earlier in the season, early in the SEC schedule, where he gave a short corner, and that DN was able to get to the edge quickly. He actually played better today. There were plays today where we caved in aside and were able to get chunk plays on at the running back position. There's other plays where the RPO. Okay, there's two plays I want to talk to since we're talking about the O line. First play of the second half, we run an RPO to give. He gives it to Blaylock. Blaylock gets 13 yards. The left side caves the defensive line, and the DN is up the field. Boom. Blaylock slips underneath it. He gets a really nice run. 13 yards, 18 runs. It might have even been 20 yards. I don't remember. Really nice play, right? That's the offensive line doing their job. I want to say same possession, or maybe it wasn't, but we're 4th and 1. And we run Satania across the formation. He kind of does, instead of just the jet motion, he does behind. I forgot what we used to call that. There was a different term for when you want to run the receiver to motion and then run like he's running behind the quarterback and the running back in the shotgun. I don't know if we called it orbit or something, but we then run inside zone. And we have the quarterback option to pull it, and then Satania's coming around the edge. If you guys remember, it's the 4th and 1, and X-Rob doesn't get it. He does his best to push the pile, doesn't push the pile. If that's a true RPO and it's not just a give, and see, the reason I question is because there's so many plays where I'm like, why are we running RPO? We should just run give. If show the action but give the ball so that Mateer doesn't have to make the decision, right? I've asked plenty of times where it's clear it's his decision to make and he's made the bad decision. If that play isn't give, and if Mateer gave it, when you have Satania coming around the edge, they showed the behind the quarterback view. The entire defense goes with the play. The DN is crashing all the way down. That's why I say there's no way that wasn't give. But the second play gives me pause because he gives, X-Rob gets corralled, but if he pulls, number one, he could get the first down just running on his own.
Yeah.
Number two, there's only one defender on that entire side of the field, and Satania's coming around with him. If they're running any type of action where he has the ability to pitch it and or keep it, it is a touchdown. Go back and watch the play. And I posted it on X, and I said, but it looked to me like he must have had I don't think he had the flexibility to pick an option. I think he had to give. That's my thought process. But then in the fourth quarter, odds in, we run the play again, and he keeps, which means he could give or keep. So that's not a fake, right? That is a read.
Yeah.
And Odd is out. It's the same play, Blaylock. They caved the whole side down again. The left-hand side for Susi and EPL. They caved the whole deal, and I don't understand. The DN steps upfield. Mateer tries to run behind Ott instead of just giving it to Ott, who's already 2 yards up the field. If Ott has the ball, he's cleared the first level of defense. The end is up the field. It's him and the safety.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the hell he's thinking. And so to the fan, the O-line sucks. We don't have enough big plays. That's another chunk play. It could be a touchdown.
He's gone on that play. There's nobody back there.
Touchdown. Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's some safety 12 yards that has an angle, right? So, there's somebody he's not just going to be unabated to the end zone, but it's a chunk play that could be a score. It's momentum, it's yards, it's credit to the offensive line who everybody talks crap about. When the quarterback has that option, sometimes he makes the wrong read and the offensive line looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at the crew. LSU threw a lot at them. They ran inside dogs. They ran crossfire. I saw them run outside dogs. I saw them bring play side pressure. I saw them bring backside pressure. I saw them run zone blitz where they're zoning behind. I saw them run man blitz where they're in 2-man and or not 2-man, but they're in man coverage and they're bringing 5 defenders. They threw a lot at the offensive line. Those guys held up well. Again, As far as I'm concerned, in a game like today, Barry, championship caliber work ethic by the O-line. We can't say they didn't create any seams. That's not true. There are 4 or 5 really good runs in there. I would even go as far as to say that Ben Arbuckle called his best game that I've seen him call in any SEC game.
He had
Ben
some
Arbuckle
ones dialed up.
today, in my opinion, called his best game of the SEC schedule.
Mm.
Maybe Auburn. And Auburn has a really good defense, and we
Yeah.
we're able to get some things done against Auburn. But yeah, the offensive line, anybody who's saying they suck, the beat and bow community, spare me, guys. We can say he starts late. I think there's some fairness to saying we're not kicking ass early in the season. That is something that is symptomatic that we need to look into. But we just played against Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, and those guys held up. They held up. Like the puppies held up. 3 freshmen held up.
Yeah.
I definitely am not in the fire every offensive coach on the staff community. And I'm definitely not in the offensive line is severely under talented and da 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 da. I'm not in that community. They are competent, and next year should be a plus, if not a force. The progression for the offensive line says moving into next season with EPL, Foje, Fasusi. I actually really like 54 at center. I think he was better. The A guy wasn't getting pushed back into the quarterback. And
Yeah.
did you see the snaps? You
The
talk about
snaps were great.
firm
They were
and
great.
just right there, money.
Yeah.
54. If he has another year, I wouldn't be mad at him.
All he is consistent, man. For 3 years, we've been saying it. He was dogged on every show,
bro.
every
Yes, he was.
message board.
Yes, he
I'm
was.
like, guys, 54. We've been saying it here. Febechi Wewu has been just the epitome of a consistent Oklahoma football player. He has played just nothing like that's going to win the Outland Trophy.
Right.
Nothing
Right.
that's going to just
Right.
He's a 4th, 5th round pick that tops. I don't think he's much, but he's a guy who is he is very technical and he's very strong. I think he has the strongest punch of anybody on the team, and I think he gets his hands in the right place faster than anybody else. And part of that's just being experienced at this point. Just a guy who's played the position a long time. His footwork is good. He knows how to win with less effort, right? He knows how to win with just being efficient. And I like the way he moves athletically. Yeah, you're totally right. Jake Maikula, I really like him, but at center, sometimes you can just be too long for your own good, right? And I think that might be his case. He's got to get that lower half stronger. Yep. He's got to get his balance better, because a guy like Febechi, you watch guys who are 280, 290 run full speed into him, and he just stones them, and they have no chance. And that's just a guy who has great balance, good base, knows how to use his hands, knows where to put his hands, right? Because if you put him too low, that's an issue. You put him too high, that can be an issue. He's just a guy who knows exactly what to do. Just looking at the O-line, Fasusi had some errors tonight, just mental, like false starts, not necessarily getting out of his feet as quick. The past 2 games have really tested the tackles, because these were the 2 most athletic, in my opinion. I think maybe even better than Bama saved their 49.
For
right?
sure.
49's a guy.
Bama's D-line is not like super amazing. Yeah.
So
that's
between Missouri and LSU, maybe the most athletic lines of scrimmage that they've played this season. Auburn too, especially with they got one defensive end who's going to be just a stud in the NFL.
Yeah.
But that they really got tested, and they still held serve, man. The pass pro was not bad. You said that they had moments, right? They had a couple busts, but it was nothing egregious. And I would actually say on the run game side, to your credit, if they eliminated some of the RPOs and they didn't have to play with such hesitancy all the time, and they could just fly off the ball, maybe you see some more effectiveness there. But for what they had tonight, with putting Simmons in at right tackle, you had to move Foje over. You're playing a new center, and you're playing an LSU team who's had a good defense all year long. That has
Solid.
been the thing that has kept them in games. They've played tough football. Bama had tons of trouble moving the ball against them. They're kind of similar to Oklahoma. And honestly, I don't know if OU won the game too dissimilar from how Bama beat them. Bama had
Yeah.
enough explosives that even though they weren't moving the ball consistently, that they just sort of out big played LSU. And this LSU team, you put Kiffin as their coach, and you tighten up this offense, get a couple pieces in the portal, and they're right back to being just a stud program. Want to move to receiver, DMAC. I think that about covers it on the line of scrimmage. Receiver, Satania finishes with around 120 yards receiving, has
Yep.
the massive touchdown. Yeah, I won't put him in receiver, but Kanik has some big catches in this one. Picks up some first downs, gets OU to some second and third and shorts.
Had some good blocks today too,
Had
guys.
some good blocks. He
He
had
had,
he had
he had 2
one
good
whiff,
blocks.
but that was
Oh,
rough.
he
But
had a hold. He had 2 whiffs and 2.
yeah,
Well, that I noticed. A hold, 2 whiffs, 2. But he had 2 good blocks today. I said,
not
"Oh,
his worst game. I would say he outplayed Bauer Sharp, which to me was like the objective of the
no
game,
question.
right?
Don't you
So,
dare bring that guy up."
buddy, when he caught the pass, I was like, man, I hope he's not the guy who beats Oklahoma tonight. That's all I kept thinking. So, and no Nick Anderson side. Did Nick? I think
He
Nick's
was hurt.
just. Is he hurt? Okay.
He hurt his ankle or hammy 2
So
weeks ago. Yeah, Nick's been
sounds
out for a couple weeks.
sounds like Nick Anderson.
Yeah.
So, anyways, how do you feel the receivers play, DMAC?
Yeah, I just feel bad for them. So now I'm going to pick on Ben Arbuckle a little bit. They were very clear and defined, in my opinion. I would say 80% of the time if they were in zone or man. There were a couple times we ran short motion to see if the guy followed, and what I noticed about us, and it was very clear tonight, is we don't. I watched the Ohio State game, and when Ohio State runs short motion, it's to identify man or zone, and then the receivers know how to run rub routes. I mean, I watched the first 3 quarters, and every time they identified man, they run a rub route. The slot receiver is in a pack position with the tight end, and the tight end is running away. That is going to impact his defender to get there, and then the receiver's cutting off of it, and it's very easy. It's simple. It's football, man. It's freaking football. It reminds me of Kansas City Chiefs. They do it all day, right? And then we watch our game. They're clearly in man, and we're running deep post and or go routes against 2 very formidable DBs who are basically bigger than all of our receivers. It doesn't make sense. That's not our receivers' faults. That's like lining me up to go against Quentin Jammer and run fade routes and post routes all day. He's gonna lock me up, put me in some curls, some digs, some pivots. Why don't we never run a slant return? I don't know if it's in the play. I think we've run it on the goal line a few times early in the season. I believe Satania may have caught one, in fact, even. But it doesn't make sense to me to blame our receivers for an offensive game plan that doesn't um, align with their attributes. That doesn't make sense to me. And I am so grateful. I believe our offensive coordinators made us better than we probably were because they consistently put us in plays. I'm talking about my years where we were able to do what we were good at. And I watch
Mhm.
our receivers, and it's very rare where they are in position. Satania should be running rub routes all day. Him and Burks. We've got Helms out there, and we've got Kanik, who's a threat. They were lining. By the way, Kanik was cooking Perkins. Perkins is playing man on Kanik a few times, and Kanik is whooping him up in the boundary. But yeah, the receivers are good. Couldn't we get a better receivers? Yes. Right? Do I feel like any of our X's are really difference makers? I always talk about the X being a go route, a post route, a curl route, a slant route, right? Those 4 routes are critical to the X receiver. I think Cavantes was probably the best when he was healthy. Um, Sidebar. What the hell is it with our team when guys get hurt, they never come back? What's up with that? And I imagine his injury could have been extremely serious, right? Like, he hits his
Sure.
head against a brick wall. But like Jake Taylor, bro, like I don't want to, again, I don't want to disrespect kids. I said something really bad about material on Twitter and I deleted it. Hopefully somebody didn't screenshot it before I did, just because I'm gonna critique and talk my shit because that's what it is. But I'm not gonna disrespect players. And I was upset. I was emotional for a quick second. But like Jake Taylor and Sexton, what the H, bro? I thought you were programmed dudes. There's no way you've been hurt since week 2 and can't come back. And your team's in a playoff run. Like, if that were our team, we would be banging. Like, get your ass out the locker room, bro. Like, you can come in the locker room, but don't come on the field. Like, we out here playing for a ship. And you not trying to come back to be a support of the team. You not trying to get healthy and be a part of this. That, to me, that irks my soul. Tatum, you gonna let this kid from Cal who ain't did nothing? I saw somebody say, "Oh, he's finally healthy." Get the H out of here. He's finally healthy, bro. Like, do we not understand how much medical advancement there is and attention there? Those guys have multi-million dollar resources. 25 years ago, if I got hurt, I had a medical professional just for me. And I wasn't Roy
Yeah.
Williams or Rocky Calmus or Josh Heupel. If Mackey has a bad wheel, I have my own person. They create a plan just for me. I see them before class. I see them before practice. I see them after practice. They give me, this is what you do when you get home. That's 25 years ago, bro. And I was a contributor. I wasn't a superstar. You mean to tell me these guys can't get healthy? Nah, to me, that's some sucker shit. Sorry for cussing, but that's some sucker shit. Like, you on Scully, y'all probably getting paid money, and you don't even want to be there with your team. That irks my spirit. That irks my soul. I hope some people on that team is letting them know, like, y'all some suckers. That's some sucker stuff.
Mm.
Because we got 3 freshmen, 2 of them true freshmen, having to play their hearts out, and they're probably better players. This is my speculation. I know I'm ranting, but I being in those walls, I've seen upperclassmen get jealous of underclassmen who come in and take spots, and they don't feel like they can get their spot back, so they bitch and moan. But here
Mm.
we are in a playoff run. And we got dudes. You've been on the thing. Like, that ain't on the strength staff. That ain't on the medical staff. Y'all think that's the strength staff and the medical staff? Hell no. Those kids are making business decisions. Barnes, I ain't mad at you, bro. You were not as talented as some of the other guys so I believe, again, I'm
Yeah.
speculating here, but I believe DeMarco went to him and said, "Hey, blood, I'm not gonna be able to give you reps no more. I'm just telling you right now, you can make a decision. If you play one more game, then you may not be able to transfer out, and there might be some money for you if you leave and go to an Arizona State or whatever." Like, Barnes's is different to me because I think the talent just improved to a point where he probably shouldn't been getting a lot of snaps. When people are telling me Barnes is the best in pass protection, bro, if we need pass protection, we need better linemen. Running backs, by definition, your title is running the ball
Yeah.
back. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I was like, save me on that. So Barnes, I think, is a little different, but you can't tell me Sexton and Taylor for 2 years. It's been 2 years. They're hurt.
Yeah.
If they retire, respect. But if next year they're playing for some Mickey Mouse school, I guess the capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur, so you know what I'm saying. I understand the economics of it. I guess it made sense to make them have another year of ability to earn because college football gives you the ability to do that. But if I was in that locker room, guys, listen. And I'm the guy who I'm saying it unapologetic. But there were 10 guys who were way more vocal than me, but like we weren't gonna be quiet about stuff like that. No. Hey, bro, you don't even practice. Shut up. Like they would get zero respect. Don't sit with me at the table, bro. We talking about football over here. If we had dinner, don't sit at my table. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, if
Yeah.
we had a function, like, and when the football players were on the wall, we used to have different school things and parties and things like pageants and stuff like that. College stuff. Don't come sit in our section. Hell nah, bro. This is for folks who putting in work. You out here collecting, and they
Respect.
collecting a check. Nah, hell nah. That part irks my soul. Offensive line, puppies, quarterback who's not doing his job well. Offensive line is solid as far as I'm concerned. Running backs
Man.
solid as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I think OU has the which kind of leads us into talking about Mateer. We've been burying the lead a little bit. Before we do that, I want to get to these super chats here, DMAC.
Yeah.
Trillion Man Winner said, "Man, I dream. I damn near cry for this man. I'm 41. I saw LSU made us look weak. Now it's the Pan versus Buddha. We got the W Boomer Sooner since I was born. Killer." And then, of course, we got Dave Madrano, longtime listener,
Yes,
big
sir.
time fan. DMAC, speak it, bro. Just giving us some good energy right there. Yeah, it's crazy that you're down to Ott, who's got, I mean, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We can tell how disengaged he's been. I can tell you, I actually know a little bit now after talking with someone. I actually know a little bit about the Barnes story as of today and just what happened. And I will just say that you are very close to, and you might know a couple little things too. You were very close to what the truth is of that situation. Is just Barnes has been outplayed. OU has recruited players who are a higher caliber player, and they may not have started the year that way. And to some extent, I think Barnes still sees himself as a guy who can be a major contributor, a guy who can be a factor on a team. So maybe he, goes to a Florida State if they, with the coaching staff change, or goes to, wherever, right? Arizona State, well, whatever random program that is not Oklahoma.
I'm
But
sorry. Somebody said take that shit to Nevada.
but I I'm pretty much out at this point on Sexton and Taylor. For one,
Yeah.
I don't think they're better than who they have. I don't think that are any of them better
No.
than Foje or
I don't want
EPL
to.
at
I don't want to
guard
talk
or
about them
tackle.
anymore. I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about them anymore.
they're
No.
non-factors. And I know I heard people. Only reason I bring this up is I heard them being brought up about playing in the CFP. Zero chance that those guys get any more than garbage time snaps if OU happens to be blowing out whoever they play in the first round. They will get zero snaps. It is, to me, a complete non-factor, which leads us to talking about Mateer, DMAC. On the stat sheet, I did see somebody put up 12 touchdowns, 10 picks this season. That's not great. So it was a game where he made the plays, kind of. He didn't miss the plays that were there when they needed to win, right? You brought it up. Good call by Arbuckle and just good execution on the Burks touchdown. They just ran the play really well. That's one of those that any quarterback, but Whit Neubauer's hitting that throw, Michael Hawkins is hitting that throw, and of course John Mateer is hitting that throw. And then on the second play, Satania Bus, you do have to be able to not miss when a guy is that open. That's still a major piece, and he's able to do that. But on far too many occasions, he made the wrong read. His feet. I'll get to that. Talk about Mateer, and then I'll kind of jump in afterwards.
Yeah, just a bad game. I think the mechanics of the game, we should have been up 2 scores early in the second quarter even. There's 5 plays that come to mind. I didn't take notes in the second half because I had to get on the treadmill. It's hard to take notes on the treadmill. But
Yeah.
first half, I'm watching the game, taking notes. I alluded to this earlier, but I just want to speak to them in details. First of all, the first interception is, to me, it's a cop out play by your OC. Again, I like Giovanni at X. He's a bigger player, but he's going against a bigger DB.
Kind of
That
cancels it
DB
out.
is legit 6'5". He's
Mhm.
6'5", and he's been playing. He's not a freshman anymore. Game after week 8 of college football, there aren't freshmen. Freshmen understand the speed. They've had a couple of conference games. That kid's gonna be a top 5 draft pick, so long as he isn't a knucklehead, a dumbass, and he doesn't get injured. Played a phenomenal game. He played better than Delaney to me, and Delaney's the best corner in America. So I don't blame Mateer for the double slant. However, I blame his mechanics for a throw that is so easy to hit, bat up in the air, bat down, get a piece of it. Especially when it's not needed. right? So again, there's certain, people talk about throwing off schedule. There are certain times where it's necessary to throw a sidearm, to throw a 3/4, to get it around the player, right? There's certain times and elements of a game where that's necessary. When you're running a slant, you want to come over the ball. A slant, you want your hand over the ball so that the ball is coming at a catchable way. A sidearm slant is easy to catch too. The problem is there's 6'4", 6'5" individuals, and the slant is already a lower throw. So you want to come on top of the ball so that the ball starts higher, and it may come down a little, but it can get over people. For us to go to that play a lot is, to me, it's bad design by Arbuckle, but also it is your quarterback's, his technique is off, and it's unlucky, but it's also not necessary. We didn't have to do it again. If it's me, we're in some type of bunch, we're in some type of stack, and we're running a rub route where we're doing a triangle read. By the way, we ran triangle reads, but he never went to it. I was like, oh, we do have triangle. I was actually excited that I saw us run somebody to the flat, somebody curl up, somebody to the deep corner. It's a triangle read. It's a conversation for another day. I saw us run it because they kept showing the behind the quarterback view, and you could
A
see the
lot
whole
tonight.
the whole play
Yeah.
design. I was like, oh, look, they ran backside triangle. Should have been play side. But yeah, that's bad. 5 plays. I'm not talking about the first pick. The first pick, again, I blame, or I don't blame, but it's as much of the design, knowing week 13, your quarterback throws sidearm, expecting that to be a win, right? As much as anything. Okay. So the plays that irk my soul. First play, we're in a trips to our sideline field on the field. So we've got the entire field. Um, the play is dialed up perfect. Ben Arbuckle dials up. I assume he's assuming there's going to be man coverage. We run some motion. They go across the formation with us. And what essentially happens is Kanik and it's probably Burks are kind of hugged. They're not stacked, but they're hugged up to one another. And anywhere, in other words, like 2 or 3 yards apart. But what's happening is LSU is blitzing. The man who's on top of Kanik is blitzing, and we run. I think it's a ISO for isolation for Kanik because Burks just kind of does like a 5-yard out or sit route. Like, in other words, his job is to make sure his corner doesn't fall off on the play because we got Kanik running a corner behind it. Okay. So 2 things come to mind, and then, guys, this is kind of like the nuances of football. When I am in any position, I notice man. Like, for instance, if I am called to do a sail route or a corner route against zone, I run away from coverage and I split the corner and the safety, and I should expect the ball at a 45, or the quarterback will lead me up the field or to the sideline where there's more space, right? Like, that's what's supposed to happen by play design. But if I am running a corner route against man and it's off man, meaning the guy is off me 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards, whatever the case may be, it turns into a speed out. And that's pretty universal.
It's like a flatter throw.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're running away from coverage. The guy
Yeah.
is guarding you. So if you kind of run out of 45, it gives him an angle to undercut and he can pick it,
Sure.
right? So
Makes sense.
from the receiver perspective, I kind of say, okay, maybe Canning, which he's a 4th-year player, college football, film every day, off season, spring ball, fall camp. Like, he should have got a ton of reps, and by now he should know. But I feel like his route was a little bit bad. But here's the thing that makes it very bad. The quarterback throws the ball where they want you to go, which means Mateer could have just thrown it to him in a space where it forces him to get out and run to it, right? Well, if we go back and watch the play, Mateer throws it 100% like zone. And it's a bad throw. In fact, Kanik can't even make a play on the ball. Here's the kicker. Do you know where his man was pre-snap?
No, I don't. I don't.
His man was the safety, high safety over the guard. So Kanik's in the slot, 3 to 5 yards
Right.
from the
Yeah.
tackle. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so Kanik has 8 yards of width on the safety. Kanik has a guy who pre-snap looks like he's covering him. The guy comes. All right. So the safety
Got it.
really has him high safety.
So the safety has Kanik, and he's okay.
Burks runs a sit, a stop, a now. So Burks and his men are out of the play. Kanik releases. Kanik could have stopped at 7 yards and be like, bro, just throw me the ball. And generally, you don't do that in football because that's kind of like playground rules. You just never know when they'll do it. So you coaches just say, "Hey, dude, you notice it's man, run the speed out, right?" And it would have been wide open. Mateer has to see it.
Mhm.
Kinnick's running 10 yards with nobody's guarding him. The safety sees it and starts getting to it. But that's, I would say it's bad by the tight end, but it's terrible by the quarterback. There's no way that's just not an easy throw. When the tight end sticks his foot in the ground, you just lead him 2 yards. When he sees the ball, you throw a nerve. So it's not a seed and it's not a loft, but it's just a nice spiral. Ty Simpson throws that ball. All of them do. Reed, Arch, all those guys. You just throw it away from coverage. He catches it outside. So he just needs to catch it like this, right? The safety's coming on this side. The safety's over here. The ball just needs to be over here. He can't get to it. It's biologically impossible. He throws it like a corner out, upfield shoulder, and it's a bad throw. That play, that's your quarterback. Everyone's talking about Giovanni needs to catch that ball and run with it. Guys, run a drag on a low ball. It's possible to throw a seed if it's high, chest high or higher. It's possible, but you still don't want it like that. But you try running a drag route across the field, and the quarterback throws a seed, which means a bullet. Like, you're like, bro, what do you like? It should just be thrown in front of you. There's no guy there to hit him. It's a nerve. So I know Giovanni's like, holy shit, I gotta catch the ball. As a receiver, I get it. He didn't want to drop a ball where he was wide open, but that's a terrible throw because that play is designed for yards after the catch.
Yeah.
You draw that play up to catch and run. That's a catch and run play. And Mateer doesn't have anything threatening his life to where he can't. There's a backer in between him and the drag. So you got to get around the backer. And the easiest way to do is just throw a nerve. You just throw the nerve and Giovanni takes 3 more steps and catches it like this and can turn upfield and have at it. I just can't express to you guys a 7-yard gain, which by the way, we end up punting. A 7-yard gain that could have been a 47-yard gain. And we don't know. Like, here's the thing, Barry. What if Giovanni's a guy that after the catch he can big boy people and he runs through trash and he scores?
He seems like he might be able to, man.
But the
We've
world
seen
will
it a little
never know,
bit.
right?
Yeah.
Like those are the plays that you just don't know how good a guy can be after the catch because we don't get it enough. Satania's gotten some. Burke's got his first one today. By the way, it's terrible. And everyone's like, he needs to stay on his feet. You try catching a seed, running horizontally, creating a perpendicular line where you're running this way and the ball's coming this way, and it's a seed. It's pretty accurate. So I'm not going to be like, oh, he threw a bad ball.
If anything, it was low though.
It was a little low.
It was,
a little
and
low.
then that again, though, to your point, that makes it's so hard to do that because now you're changing your leg angle, like everything.
Yes. If it's a high seed, shoulder high or better.
Yeah.
If it's a seed, you can
There's
still
got to
catch
reach.
them. But
You'd
if you
almost rather reach a little bit.
Yeah, diamond up is fine. Diamond down, it's hard. It's hard. That play pisses me off. It should be a big play. Then the Helms play. I had somebody arguing with me on Twitter like, he dropped the ball. I mean, I guess theoretically, but you run an arrow route. It's called an arrow route. You're just running away from coverage, shoulders turned, but the ball's upfield shoulder. Try catching an arrow route when it's on backfield shoulder, a seed 5 yards away. Like, I want to say a word that I can't say that other folk can't say, for sure can't say, but there's a word you say, I'm not going to say the word, okay? But that is, again, he probably has another 80 yards if he just completes those 2 passes.
Yeah.
The Kanik play on the drag, Kanik has a drag, and he just throws it behind him. Kanik literally stops and tries to go back and get it, but it's so far behind him. Yeah, people who know the word. That's an appropriate time to say the word if you're allowed to say the word. But yeah, Kanik has to stop. Kanik has to stop, and it's still behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one at Helms. You're right. That's the one I'm talking about. So, and this is a game. This is why I say it's terrible. Because we connect, we complete those balls, and can everybody tell they wanted to quit? Do you know when they got a little juice? When they ran that QB lead and he got around the edge, PJ got reached. It's PJ who gets reached on that play. And it's Gullery who is an outside contain. Gullery's the corner on that side, and Gullery Gullery thinks he has enough speed to just catch him. He doesn't. Van Buren's fast, 4.6 probably. I'd say a
Yeah.
4.6 or faster type of dude. And that's when they're like, okay, we might can win this game. Until that play, they were waiting for us to kick their ass and say we're ready to go home. And all the plays I just discussed are prior to that play. Not good.
Yeah, man, I see the comments on working on his mechanics. And man, by this time in your career, well, with as far down the road as Mateer is, who he's been, what and not only that, just kind of like the mental makeup of who he is as a player. You can have poor mechanics and still be a great quarterback. Like Heupel did not have the greatest mechanics, but was still a really solid quarterback.
Hype had
Right?
good mechanics, bro.
They,
He
they,
just
they,
had
they-
a noodle arm. No, he
yeah,
was really smart, fundamentally sound. Hype was sound.
but he did not have the level of. But when you're talking about like Jason White, Sam Bradford, getting up into that level of just let me maybe mechanics is the wrong word for this situation, but just
It's
like pure arm
athleticism.
talent
So
and
Hype just wasn't
athleticism.
athletic.
But like
Oh yeah,
the ability
But Hype knew
to
how to do his job to the T.
he knew the point is he knew he could take advantages in other places. I will say this, it looks like Oklahoma has coached Mateer to not get out of the pocket as fast. In this game, he stayed in the pocket. The issue with that is and he made a couple plays where it seemed like staying in the pocket helped him, but because he throws off his back foot so often, unnecessarily, he has far too many throws that he cannot add to or take off velocity with great control because he's
100%.
having to rip the ball in there and he almost has just one gear. The throw to Helms is really frustrating because that's one of those throws that you practice like all the time on air that you just drill. That's like a get you warmed up throw. That's not a that's not a difficult throw. The one to Giovanni where it's intercepted because it's an underthrow and not to his outside shoulder, that was a very bad but difficult throw. That's a hard throw to do, especially too. I thought Giovanni probably could have been inside a little bit more, maybe a little bit closer to the hashes, to give Mateer a little bit more room on a throw like
You're
that.
talking about the one where the ref ducks.
No, no, no. I'm talking about the one where
The drag?
basically no, I'm talking about do you remember the fade to Giovanni? There's
Where he
a
gets the pick?
yeah, on the pick. Yes. The one
Giovanni
where he
beats him
just
outside, bro. It's severely underthrown. Hell no. The receiver
under
has to go where he can beat him. The quarterback has to throw the ball to the spot.
he's
That's
got it
100% QB.
100%.
Yeah.
So, but the point is Mateer's mechanics are they're so dysfunctional at this point that I don't know if there is an off season or way that he modifies that enough to come back and be a different quarterback. You've seen it happen with guys on occasion, but even like a Jalen Hurts, which I've seen that example, Jalen never had poor mechanics. Jalen's
Never.
issue was being decisive. His issue was seeing the whole field. His issue was having an offense built around what he does best. And Mateer Arbuckle built this offense around what Mateer does best. Here, the issue is this: is that poor mechanics only get you so far until the competition closes those windows down and you have to make decisions faster. When he was playing in the Pac-4 or whatever it was and was playing teams like that, it looked like how it looked against Kent State, how it looked against Temple, how it looked in those games. When you are playing teams that have NFL level speed, especially on the back end, and those windows close and you have to make decisions
Can I interrupt real quick,
quickly,
bro?
go for it.
I'm watching Bama Auburn. Chat, we got 269 people in the call. Did everybody just see the ball Ty Simpson threw for a touchdown? It's the exact same ball that Mateer should have thrown. They run action. They've got a triangle read. One of the tight ends is going across the formation. One's coming deep, first post. One's first pylon, second pylon. He just throws a nerf, and the receiver can just run under it, catch it, super easy, touchdown. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, like, that's the throw. And it's
Yeah.
just like you said, Barry. You've practiced that throw a million times a week in practice. A million times. It's over the guy who's trying to cover his head. He can't get there. The ball is rainbowing over him. It's just going to fall into the bucket, right into your hands. Super easy catch. That's the throw. That's the throw he needs to make to Giovanni.
Yeah.
Throw the ball right over the backer. Giovanni can catch it and run. He's got it in stride. But I think you also said, I'm sorry, I got to say this.
Go for
You're
it.
right. His mechanics are so bad. When it's time to make the throw, he's not in position to make the throw. So he just has to use his arm. And that's why the touch is never there. That's why the inconsistency of placement of the ball. And I can't imagine being a receiver where I see his arm motion and the arm motion doesn't tell me where the ball is going to be.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
I
that's
do. Yeah,
interesting.
because let me give you brought up something. I agree that Hype's tech is not as good as Sammy or Jay White's, but Hype was extremely technically sound and he worked on his mechanics religiously. But Jason White, you know who Jason White reminds me throwing the ball? Ty Simpson.
Mm.
Ty Simpson is Jason White throwing the like. It's just so evident where the ball is going. Once it's released, the foot, the front leg, the shoulders down, the arm is up. You know exactly where it's going before it leaves his hand. And he threw such a catchable spiral. Nate could throw the ball hard too, but Nate. Anyway, I'm not going to the force or the trees of that. It's just Jason White threw a ball that when the ball came off his hand, it was like catching a pillow. And Mateer, it frustrates my soul because if you watch these plays, there is an immediate pressure where he has to like, holy shit, and move and dodge somebody. He's in a fairly clean pocket and chooses to. The arm's never here, but sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here. Sometimes it's kind of going up. Do you notice sometimes he throws it and look like his follow through is going up? It's
sidearm, but going up. And I want to touch on this. Somebody said if throwing sidearm affected accuracy, then shortstops and second basemen wouldn't be accurate. The shortstops and second basemen, when they're throwing to a guy, they're not throwing to a guy who's moving. That it is a very different thing.
And they control the entire ball because it's in your entire
100%.
hand. A football, you hold about 30% of the ball and you have to spin it in order for it to move.
It's totally different. Very different. 100%. That you have to, the football is so large, the variability of where it has to go is so great. So what you're doing, the reason why you want mechanics to be tight and look the same is to limit variability. The more you limit variability, in other words, it's like almost like shooting a basketball, right? The more consistent you can have your follow through, your wrist, your elbow, to the point where almost your feet really don't matter if your arm is consistent, right? The feet are for you to drive the ball. The feet are for you to get natural, easy velocity where you don't wreck your shoulder. Right. Josh Allen's talked about this a ton. If Josh Allen didn't change his throwing motion, he'd be out of the league right now because his shoulder didn't work.
That's such a great example, brother.
Because his throwing motion was trash. Now, the reason he was an NFL guy is because his decision making was great. And I saw people even bring up Favre. Favre had such a quick trigger, and when Favre needed to, he could put touch on the ball. When he needed to, he could throw a nerf. When he needed to, he could just stand there in the pocket strong and hit a throwing velocity. And Favre's arm was way stronger than Mateer's. And because of the strength of his arm, he has more, there's more room for him to navigate and kind of play in the margins, if you will.
But Favre threw 90% of the time over the top of the ball, bro. Favre commanded the ball. He was on top of the ball. He was not throwing the ball at the sidearm at all.
Yeah, the sidearm, when it does not need to take place, is very frustrating because when that happens, you're almost always going to miss in the direction that your hand is pointing, right? Especially, and I think you even made a post about it today. If the hand is pointing one way and the feet are pointing another, you have no idea where that ball is heading. And
that's my point.
That's huge.
Bro, The receiver doesn't know where the ball's going. If you're running a route and the quarterback sees you and they lead you, their shoulder's going to turn, their foot is going to point. It's going to, oh, okay, I got to keep running. If the quarterback stops and his shoulder drops right there, you know the ball is coming at you. So like on a curl route, you know, like, okay, shoulder, foot, the ball's coming down. You can see the ball's going to be coming here. Mateer, you're running a curl and his arm is, and it's like, if he, based upon where he lets it go, is going to tell you if the ball's going 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, like that's I guarantee you it's hard for the receivers.
Yeah, I couldn't. And then on top of that, you just layer in some of the issues with the RPO, some of the
Oh,
issues with, when to keep, when to not keep. And OU, to your credit, they put him tonight in some sprint outs. They put him in some scenarios where he got outside the pocket and he still couldn't take advantage of it. And because this is crazy. I think because he hasn't worked on setting his feet enough. One of the things that Baker was so good at, and I don't mean to bring him up, but like Baker would roll to his right, but then the moment Baker saw something, he'd quickly set his feet and rip the ball.
yes. Still does it
He
to this day. It's
still,
beautiful.
yes, he doesn't
It's
just
beautiful.
keep running and rip. If he has to, he can, but he doesn't. He still sets his feet and then rips it because he knows that if he doesn't do that, the velocity on the ball will not be what it needs to be. The accuracy won't be there. And why do that? If you're sprinting to your right and the closest man to you is still 5 to 7 yards away,
You're
why
gonna stop
not?
him.
And it only takes you point 0.2 of a second to get the ball off. That guy can't make up enough ground. Just set your feet and throw the ball. But if you are not used to setting your feet, if you're not used to within the game doing that quickly, whether it's that's why they almost never roll him left. And that's why I think he never escapes left, is because Baker could escape left because Baker could quickly flip the feet back around and then get the ball out. Mateer just does not have that in his bag. It is not something, well, which is interesting because I don't think he has horrible feet. I just don't think he has great feet. I think his feet are like Spencer Rattler's were when he was at Oklahoma, which is like, oh, they're okay, right? But when you put in a Caleb Williams who has great feet, you see how much different those two things are. And Rattler had a better arm than Mateer.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
to me, Mateer's issue is getting his feet set, getting his feet down, being able to also too, that this is just kind of getting a little bit in the weeds, but I actually think he has an issue with dropping his eyes and then getting his eyes back up,
That's a good call.
almost like he's not super confident in, I don't want to say confident in what's going on, but like if you are confident in the scheme and where your guys are going to be, to quickly drop your eyes and survey what's going on in front of you and get them back up shouldn't be a massive deal. Baker would do it all the time. And I don't even know if in that case, his peripheral vision might not be great. He just might get, everything's happening so quick that the tunnel vision is just really strong for him. Because there's multiple times, even tonight, where he could have taken off for 5 to 6, picked up a first, and just didn't do it because his eyes are either down the field or he's dropped them to run.
Hey, let me ask you this question,
Go for it.
because we could go for an hour about him, and I don't want to beat the kid up. We
Yeah,
found a
yeah,
way to
yeah.
win. I think the bigger question is, number one, two-part question, bro. Nah, because one of them is disingenuous. So I'm just gonna ask the real question:
Let's go.
Is Mateer the guy next year?
I think OU has to seriously, the same time that they brought in Gabriel and we're looking at Dart and we're going to bring in Dart as well, that has to be the same mindset. You go out and get the best available guy that you can get, and then you just kind of play the odds. I don't think Hawkins is the answer, because if Hawkins was so much better than Mateer, I feel like he would be playing over Mateer.
I don't necessarily believe that, because optically, Arbuckle coming in with his guy and the money And I think OU has sort of devalued a legacy who has shown he is okay with waiting his turn. So I don't know that I buy that 100%. I understand your perspective, but I don't know if I buy that. If they're playing the same, so if let's just say they were close, then why not play our Hawk in some of the games that material's been terrible if it was close.
Yeah.
So that's that. But anyway, either I don't think either of us is right or wrong. I respect your perspective. Um, the disingenuous question is, does he deserve to start the playoff game? That's the disingenuous question, guys. We play a team with a competent offense. The
Yeah.
defense today was good enough to win, and I think, and apparently, and you guys chat, you guys can let us know. But I'm hearing from a lot of people that Hawk's dad is pissed because his son didn't get a chance tonight, and I just
Yeah.
got the cat. My wife just bought a new cat, and he laying
Hey,
right here next to me.
let's go.
I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt the
Yeah.
little guy. But I listen. I
3 picks is
think
a
it's
lot.
I think it's tough to sell the team on. I need an insider on the team this year, and I don't really have one per se on the offensive side of the ball that can just tell me. I need somebody to say, Mac, Hawk is trash in practice, because then I'll be like, okay, we got to play the lesser
Sure.
two evils, right? But if in practice it's close and they're not giving him a chance, and he's been a good soldier, I don't care what nobody says. I saw Hawk against Navy and he played winning football. He made touch throws, he made driving throws, he made off schedule throws. He beat them with his legs. I haven't seen Mateer do it since Michigan. Michigan was a hell of a game, but now I think it was more of an aberration and or anomaly because playing against decent talent, he's looked bad all year. Name a game sans Michigan where he has looked like a dude.
South
Auburn,
Carolina maybe was his best one.
I feel like, yeah, I guess maybe we dominated them, and their best edge defender got hurt the very first possession.
Yeah.
Is that Coleman? I think
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
And maybe like last quarter against
Tennessee.
Auburn or and Tennessee.
So the Auburn game, I don't think he played that well. The
He
Tennessee
didn't.
game,
Yeah.
he played terrible, and then he progressed and got better. He made some throws. But like my point is, against good competition, he's the best we've seen is capable. The worst 60 to 70% of it is terrible. It's terrible 60 to 70% of it. So I and I obviously, guys, who the hell am I? I think Hawk's dad is doing something wise. I think this is what here's why. Let me consolidate this, Barry, and you tell me what you think. Hawk's dad is upset. He's probably because he's devalued. His son is devalued so bad now that another program says, "Dude, your son was the backup on a team where your quarterback sucked ass, and they never went back
Wow.
to him."
Sure.
So that
Sure.
might say that might make him a kid who doesn't garner much money. And so what Hawk has done, I said 3 weeks ago before the bye or going into the bye, I said they should do a Hawk package. I wonder if in the bowl games or in the playoff we'll see a Hawk package.
I almost guarantee you will.
I hope going into the playoffs, to me it makes too much sense. I think Mateer has earned the right for him to get competition. I think Hawkins has shown Hawkins can run away from SEC defenses. Mateer has run away from nobody since Temple and Philly.
Simple. Yeah.
So, and Mateer has thrown the ball. Mateer had just about a game today as Hawkins had against South Carolina. The only difference is the defense kept it close so that in the end of the game we could call a couple plays because Hawk could have made both of those throws. Both throws Mateer makes tonight, Hawk can make. No one can tell me on the screen there's no pressure. It's just throw the ball and complete it. And on the bus, there's no pressure. It's just, yeah, you're right. The guy's wide open. Can you throw a ball that's catchable enough for him to not mess it up? Those are both plays that all three. The other kid looks serviceable at quarterback. Forgot his name. So I that's the conversation. Is OU willing to hurt his feelings and probably hurt BA's feelings, Arbuckle's feelings a little bit as well, to
Sure.
say, hey, dude, in order to win this game, we've got to prepare the other kid and give him a package, because you know who would have did it in a heartbeat? Nicholas Saban. And Mateer would have been out the game. Nick Saban put in Tua, and no one knew who he was in the championship game.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts had already won a championship.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts had won a championship with them. And in that game, Jalen was not accurate with the football. He pulled him for Tua. So I think that is the narrative. Mateer played terrible enough today to merit losing snaps. And will we as a program say it's more important to take this opportunity to play for and win a championship than it is to appease a $3 million, a seven-figure quarterback? Because guess what, guys? Here's the indirect. Everybody ready? If the running back is a threat, all of a sudden the running game opens up. If the quarterback is a threat, all of a sudden 1v1 matchups. If the quarterback is a threat, right, all you need is to make one person miss, and it could be a house call. It's the offense itself, exactly as it is today, is totally different if the quarterback is a threat. Name a team in the SEC that thinks Mateer's a threat to run the ball. I'm not saying we can't scheme some stuff up for him to go make a play, but I mean, he breaks contain and can get 15, 20 yards on any given play. There isn't a team in America that says we've got to put an extra dude on the line of scrimmage or at the edge of the line so that he can't beat us with speed. There's no team. Put Hawkins in that quarterback. Put Hawkins in that quarterback and put on the Auburn film last year. Put on the Tennessee film last year. Put on the Navy film. I guarantee you the moment we put Hawkins in, teams are going to say, watch QB run. And I guarantee you the moment we put Hawkins in, our receivers will have better matchups. To me, it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, his mechanics, I see it in the chat. Hawkins' mechanics still worry me. He still has a propensity to do the sidearm stuff, to do the jump throw stuff. But you are right in that
the same stuff Mateer does?
Same stuff Mateer does. So the argument is, if they're going to be similar, like, what is Mateer doing right now? He's throwing about 50%. He is about one touchdown to one pick a game. And is Hawkins going to be worse than that? I will say this. I know I can say with quite a bit of confidence, just because of what he ran when he was in high school. Hawkins, if given the chance, runs the RPO a little better than Mateer does. I think he just has maybe not. Let me say, like, the zone read more so than just like our true RPO stuff. He's a little bit better with the gives and the keeps. And I actually just sent a text to someone. I was asking the question. I'm just curious. This one's kind of on the defensive side of the ball, but I'm curious to see what is said regarding today. So if I hear back, I will let you guys know.
Yeah.
So
don't let them know. Just send me the text. Don't let them know.
Yeah. So
by the way, I'm gonna send some text too. Let me send some text out. I can get some. Let me get some data points.
Yeah, because I'm kind of curious with that. That was about as bad as we've seen. And for those who don't think it is the quarterback matters, this has been a through line on the show, and it's almost my reference point for how much QB matters in a game. So OU had this type of game, this type of situation now a decade ago when they played TCU at home with a chance to win and go to the CFP. Do you remember what the situation was in that game, D-Mac? That was when Baker Mayfield started, was concussed right before half, and then Trevor Knight had to come in. This is a Lincoln Riley offense. Trevor's an experienced guy. He was, by all accounts, Trevor's not a bad quarterback, but he's not Baker. So even in Arbuckle's scheme, even in a scheme that, may have its deficiencies, if you have a trigger man who has good mechanics, like a Baker who has, and this wasn't like super great elite Baker that we got by 2017. This is still raw gunslinging Baker Drew's just more of an accurate thrower, not always the best decision maker, was still coming into his own. And against really stiff competition, still struggled, right? When they played Clemson, he had a hell of a time. It was really hard for him to complete throws. But Mateer versus any of the elite guys in the country, to me, it changes this Oklahoma team. I think I said it on X today. If OU has any of the top 10 quarterbacks in college football today on their roster, this team is 11-1 and top 4 in the country with this. Even with the personnel they have on offense right now, add nothing else but just get a quarterback who has really great mechanics, who has the ability to make the easy throws, and who has just a high IQ. And I'm not saying Mateer doesn't have a high IQ, but when it comes to decisiveness and decision making, it's just not the same. So it would be.
Can I say something?
Go for it, man.
I got nosy. I got a text message about Mike Hawkins Jr.'s dad. He wasn't my teammate, but he was a young lad right shortly after I graduated.
Sure.
He posted on Twitter. He said, if Mike or Jackson played like that, what would happen? Money in politics. That's his post. 41,000 views.
Buddy.
41,000 views. Now listen, one of the very first fans said, let him walk. Bentley will be the next quarterback after Mateer. Hawkins' dad says, ha ha, we will see. So that makes me feel better. Dad is not saying I hate OU, blah, 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 blah. I think he is saying that Mateer deserved to be pulled. And again, the Arbuckle Mateer. If Mateer wasn't Arbuckle's dude, chat, if Mateer wasn't Arbuckle's hand-picked guy, would he still have been given the opportunity to stay in that game? I think it's a very low likelihood that if that marriage isn't as such that he gets to stay in that game. But people are saying, oh, his dad's going off, blah, 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 blah. No, he's not. He's calling BS on bad quarterback play being covered. Guys, Mateer was terrible today.
It was real
Top
bad.
5 worst quarterback performances I've seen at OU, including 98. 98 was pretty bad quarterback play. By the way, we went through like 5 quarterbacks in 98. It was terrible. And the plays he made were not like, oh, he made a play that it was a bust and it was a screen. And he gets the credit, he gets the yards, but the football mind knows the quarterback wasn't the value add. The quarterback was not the difference maker. One was scheme and one was solely on the defense making a mental bust. So I feel Pops on this. And I just saw somebody text me like, hey Mac, look at but the way I read it, Mike Hawkins is essentially saying Mateer played terrible and deserved to be pulled. And I agree this time. I agree. That type of play, we were very close to having 21 starters saying, I played my heart out. And I played good enough to win. One person was given more chances. Again, guys, last week, Foje had one mess up and he was benched for the game.
They pulled Guillory after the play you talked about.
Yeah.
BV pulled Guillory. Yeah. Guillory didn't play for like 3 series.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Interesting. That's interesting, man. We'll see how what it means in the playoff, which I want to finish out a little bit of discussing that. But first, let's get to Gorilla Nuts player of the game, D-Mac. We're going to go offense first. I'm going to let you go first on offense this go around. Lately, we've been doing defense, letting you go first on defense. I'm going to give you first run on offense tonight.
It's still set up.
There we go. D-Mac. Offensive side of the ball, who was your Gorilla Nuts player of the game?
Man, you know what?
Chat, drop yours. Chat, drop yours.
I mean, Satania 9 catches, 120 yards. I think 119 or 120 yards. That's big time, man. Obviously, he's the guy who happens to be the guy who's open. I don't even think he's the primary receiver on that play, but he's just open. That's big time. I also think the punt return is a big deal. That play is what gave us life, the ability to feel like we could go do something. I was gonna go a different direction, but I just sold myself. Uh, Kid's a gamer,
He is.
and he's made big plays for us all season long. The play against Missouri comes to mind. But today, in a game where someone needed to make a play, and on the other aspects of the game, guys needed to, when the opportunity presented itself, do something with it. Um, that's big time. And I generally stay away from receivers unless they do big time stuff. But nah, I give a lot of props and respect to the kid. He ends the year with 827 yards, 6 TDs, I think like 14, 15 yards per catch. Um, in an offense that in a lot of ways is anemic, you know. Uh, really good game by him. Really good game by him. I Blaylock would be my second. He played tough, had some good runs, and hopefully I'm not taking your guy by saying that. But give me Satania, and then I'd say my secondary person would be Blaylock.
Man, I saw him pop up in the chat, but I'm going to go in a game where every possession mattered, where you couldn't afford to have any more turnovers. You couldn't afford to have any more issues than you already did, where your quarterback was a net negative. Like if this was basketball and we're
Facts.
talking about like
Oh, plus
net
minus.
rating, plus minus, yeah, not good. Not good. Just horrible. I would not want to see what the advanced metrics were on Mateer today. Satania would probably be at the top. Blaylock would be right up underneath that. You probably have some offensive linemen in there. Mateer would have to be just at the bottom of the dadgum barrel today, man. I guess the closest thing we got is PFF. I'm really curious. His PFF is probably going to be a PFF.
Well,
Coming
the
up.
stats look good though. 300 yards, 2 TDs, get
I think he's
fourth quarter.
but 3 interceptions, only about 52% completion
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
percentage.
No,
Well,
no, yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. And I think they also too, they weight, and I could be wrong in PFF, I think they weight the distance of the throw. Like you get more value on deeper
Longer
throw, which
throws.
is why like Baker and Kyler used to kill on the
Oh
PFF
yeah.
because they were so effective down the field. But in a game where possessions matter, where you needed to not have as many mistakes as possible, I'm going to go for Betchy Waywu.
I love it. I freaking love it.
Solid game, man. You talk about a guy having to step up final game of the season against a team with a formidable defensive front, play good defense all year. Shout out to 54. I don't know if 54 ever catches wind of the pot, but we've been fans of 54 for
Facts.
years. Shout
Facts.
out to Fabechi Way, man. I know what other places have said. We've been riding with you the whole time. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, DMAC. I will go first on this one. I don't think I've ever gone first on defense. This is wild. There's a
Do yourself
number
a
of
layup.
ways to go.
You do
There's
yourself a
honestly, I
layup.
think there's like a couple layups on
You do
this one.
yourself a layup.
I
You do
think
yourself
I'm
a
gonna
layup.
go I think I'm gonna go anti layup though on this one, just because I think the play late in the game, the plays to open the game were valuable, but I think the plays late in the game mattered a lot, and he also was responsible for a number of interior pressures. But I'm gonna go Grayson Halton. I
That's
think he's had another one, but that play was so huge at that time and helped push them back. I also think he had another one late in the game where it was just a stop. He has played so good. Jaden Jackson's presence has not been near as missed because Halton has just played out of his mind
100%.
for
100%.
for like 3 weeks straight. He has played with such ferocity. He
100%.
looks he looks this is crazy too. To me, he looks bigger now than he did to start the year. And he looks like he's put on a little more girth.
He may
Um,
have.
and David Stone as well. And by the way, what do you think of the David Stone goggles look? Have you seen
I
the
like it. Yeah,
goggles?
you,
It is
you didn't see
pretty dope, man.
Dante Jones is my big bro, and he posted a side by side, which was pretty dope because Dante wore goggles sometimes too.
Oh, did he? Okay,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah, yeah.
that. I didn't know that. That's dope. Yeah, but give me Grayson Halton as a Gorilla Nuts player of the game with some Gorilla Nuts plays in there, man.
It's interesting you say that because I've always had an affinity for him. My buddy told me about him early on, like, though. And by the way, he is the best athlete on the defensive line. Just FYI. RMT, they battle, but Grayson. By the way, no, he has the best get out of all the D linemen.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
agree with that
yeah.
100%.
So, and that was a couple years ago, but still, I love the progress and the development. For me, I'm gonna take the one. And by the way, I've been getting beat up. People have been mad at me. Like, why can't I tell the truth? People get so tickled because I'm telling the truth, but it's the truth. Peyton Bowen has gotten so much better the last month of the season. Has been so much more impactful. If you go back to when I said he was a 5-star Jag, I did not say he was trash. I said he's a guy just like Coach V said, he should be making more plays. And in the last 4 games, he's had some interceptions, he's had some key PBUs, he's made some key plays. But today, you named it, he wrapped the game. The first possession with an interception in the end zone. The last possession 2 weeks in a row. Oh no! I guess it was against Bama. So 2 out of 3 weeks where he makes the key PBU to essentially seal the win. Big time. Big time. He's also all year we've said he's been great in C gap, great in the alley. He's a guy who's going to come up and thump you and be a form tackler, and he's been very strong in that area all year. But being a high safety who can come down, see the football, and make a play, man. Um, Yes, he is definitely garnering himself more eyeballs, more people looking his direction in terms of NFL prowess, and I think he's a guy who we thought RSJ would be this year, who, assuming he comes back next year, can be looked at as a big time returning starter who the team can lean on as someone to make plays when they're really needed. So PB, shout out to you. You're playing like a 5-star. You're playing like an all conference caliber player. And man, your contributions the last 4 weeks have made all the difference in the world. You've made differences that were the difference between winning football games and losing football games. Purely you against one other guy, 1v1. Van Buren going into the end zone, you cat moused him, and then you sunk and underneath the drag route and picked it. And then obviously later in the game, it's you and Van Buren on the edge again. You cat and moused him. And when he threw the ball, you were able to get your hand on it. Big time, gorilla nuts, solid game.
Man, DMAC, just to kind of rehash what Oklahoma's done this season, right? You go unbeaten for the month of September. You do catch the loss against Texas in October. You have the close loss against Ole Miss. But how many teams historically have
Right.
played and beat 3 teams in the same season who have, by the way, all won a national championship in the past 6 years? That is just bananas, right? The 3 teams in Michigan, Alabama,
LSU.
LSU in the past 6 years, 3 out of the last 6, you have beaten 3 teams who have won a national championship. And you just go, let's just play like the names, right? You go down the list and you take out Tennessee on the road, you take out Alabama on the road, and then you finish with LSU, and then you have Missouri in there as well. That is a gauntlet that I don't know if it measures up to Red October, but the DMAC, where does this fit for you in terms of runs that
One
Oklahoma has
difference.
had? Give me the
Well,
difference.
Red October is one season, 47 straight is a college record. And this run, there's 2 losses. So apples and doorknobs. How long has it been since I've used that?
It's been a minute, actually. It's been a minute.
Yeah, our OGs know about apples and doorknobs. But yeah, I mean, this is as good as it gets for right now. Big time, big time. I don't want to diminish it. I don't even want to make the comparison because they're both in their own right such a big deal. To me, I am just thoroughly impressed by what these guys have been able to do this season. It's a remarkable. Red October, by the way, there you go. Throw me the nerf, guys.
Yep.
I'm writing a book. It's called Crimson Red October. A Sooner Legacy. I haven't even posted it the last couple of days just because I've been so busy. But guys, phenomenal book, phenomenal excerpts. I have a website. It's just the DamianVMackey.com. If you go to my website or CrimsonRedOctober.com. B, can you post it in the description or whatever?
You got it,
But
man.
guys,
Yeah.
2 free excerpts from the book to give you an idea of what we're talking about. when I tell you it's nitty gritty conversations. It's not feelings. It's not amazing balls. It's none of that stuff. It's actually in game X's and O's strategy. Here's what happened. Here's how it worked. Or it's off season. Here's the workout. Here's the conversations. Here's the methodology behind what we were doing. Um, did over 100 pre-sales already. So first 200 pre-sales, I'm gonna autograph, personally leave a message. Excuse me, when we send them off. The book will be done by the 15th. The goal is for them to be under Christmas trees by the 25th. If not, it'll be January 10th ish. So it'll either be December 23rd or January 10th, depending on those two dates. Passion project. This pod gave me the belief that we could build a platform. I'm super grateful for all of you guys. The storytelling has turned into people asking me to, I mean, I got asked to publish the book. And so that's why I did it. But yeah, man, Red October is obviously special to me. I was just looking at my national championship ring this morning. Actually, I was looking for something. It's in like a little tin can with a whole bunch of like, I wear these bracelets and I have a couple different watches and stuff, whatever. It's just in that thing now. I don't even have it in the box anymore. Um, but today I was actually looking for something and I just kind of picked it up and was like, damn, we really did that, you know? And so to see the team, the crazy part is the answer is to be determined to your question. The Sooners win a natty? Bruh, the Sooners win a natty. Oh, Red November to me is bigger because the stakes, man, and the turnaround and all the things ahead. I listen, I'm the past. I'm very aware of what we did and I appreciate all the allure and the people who show love, but I want to win another one. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm greedy. I want another one. I also want us to claim our natties on the years there were no clear champion. So all these people don't act like we're so far behind Bama and Ohio State. No, we're not. We have like 17 natties that we need to claim. We have like 21 total or something crazy, but they claim '03. We can't claim '03. We got curb stomped by K-State, and then we lost to LSU. And then there's one other year where somebody else was the clear national champion, and we claim, or there's a publication that gave it to us. But I believe, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, there are 17 years, Barry, where we were either number one team in America or we had the same record as whoever was declared the champion. There wasn't any one clear cut publication, but we only claim AP natties. If you go back and look at Bama's 18, they're not all AP natties. Ohio State's are not all AP natties, right? We should claim, I said this before and I'll say it again as we close. I think it just makes too much sense to say Oklahoma, 17 total national championships, 7 AP national championships. Like to me, that makes too much sense and it creates more allure for the program and it shuts up them stupid people at Bama and Ohio State and all these other schools who claim paper champion natties that we don't claim, acting like they're lapping us. No, you're not. Yeah, yeah. You could post some of the ones that we deserved to have that we don't claim simply because the AP, and those are years where we didn't play one versus two. So it was a beauty contest. It wasn't, and it was politics, right? Where were the pundits, the journalists, the individuals from, and what schools in their region could potentially be another champion that they were choosing from a political reason, not a meritocracy. So there's that. Is that true, Barry? I can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, muted myself. On the
We only claimed
championship,
2 natties when we won the
yeah,
47 Oh,
54-55.
bro.
I think it's 54-55.
We don't claim 3 years. That's 3 seasons, bro.
It was. And even the year they lost to Notre Dame, I think they still could have technically claimed the year that natty as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the OU is that they got a few that they could claim. Before we close out, want to shout out Sheila Smith for the super chat as well as Boho 8278. Sheila says appreciate the work, guys, and Boho 8278 says solid work. Red November playoffs, let's go. DMAC, real quick, the two teams. Give me two teams in the CFP who OU may or may not play that are kind of in that range. Who would OU match up well against? Who do you absolutely not want to see them play?
I do. We match up well against Notre Dame. They want to run the football. The quarterback is athletic enough, but he's not a guy who can out athlete our edge defenders, and so we won't have to make a bunch of different changes to what we want to do. I think Love, this is my opinion, I think he's overrated. When Notre Dame has to put lipstick on a pig and tell everybody how amazing Pitt is so that they have a conference uh, um, ranked opponent the second 7 weeks of the season, right? And then we go and watch Pitt like they're trash, and then we watch Pitt get dominated today by Miami. They did beat a Georgia Tech team 2 weeks ago, so I want to give them a little luck, but they're not in the same hemisphere as the teams are playing. I think South Carolina could beat Pitt on its good day.
Oh, yeah.
Like LSU, if Nussmeier's playing and they don't have the turmoil because of the coach, LSU could curb stomp Pitt. And so I think we match up well against Notre Dame. It's good against good. Now, listen, Barry, you said 4. I don't believe that. Notre Dame's offensive line could come in and show a different level of aggression that we just haven't seen this year, and they could be an issue. But I tend to believe our defensive front will be able to stop their run game because I think Love's overrated. I think Love hasn't played against enough really quality defenses. USC, their defense is trash, right? Like North Carolina, you know what I'm saying? Stanford, you know what I mean? Like I would love to play against Notre Dame. I also just think those games against true blue blood versus true blue blood. I think that's a game everybody get ups for. I want to play them in Norman. I don't want to play them in South Bend. The team that I don't want to see, honestly, I don't want to. Well, I think it's safe to say Ohio State, but I think Indiana is a bad matchup for us. Indiana has an offense that takes what the defense gives you. Indiana has the ability to play keep away, and Indiana is one of the best teams in America at making positive possessions, meaning we can't afford to have 3 or 4 possessions where we just skunk out the room. Field position game, they are going to run a million different misdirections, drag routes, curl stops, slant goes, where our defense is going to have to be head on a swivel the entire game. I question if we can't just impose our will on defense. The problem is we can't impose our will on offense. If we could just run the ball downhill, then I'd feel good. But because we can't just run the football, and because they put up points consistently, they smother you with points. I don't want to see them until we have to see them, to be honest with you.
Man, I just sent you a text from one of the
Okay. Gotcha.
You'll see it.
I just sent the text too. So I'll see if I get a return.
This is just what I just got. Very interesting to say the least, man. I think Notre Dame would be probably a team that's most similar. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Isn't that wild? That's wild.
No, it's not. It's very it makes
yeah. Especially from who that's coming from.
Yeah.
Who that's like sense. Super Mr. Stoic. Oh yeah. So that's interesting. Notre Dame's probably the team. It will be curious to see what they do with the final rankings. Does OU hold that 8 spot? Is there a chance? I don't think there's a chance they drop to 9.
They won't.
But man, stranger things have happened, unfortunately. Any shot, I know the Texas fans are clamoring. Any shot DMAC Texas gets in. No
if
shot.
If we lose, that helps
Maybe.
Your story. But listen, Miami. So listen, here's the deal. Miami is on the borderline of being out, having beat the team with the same record as them head to head. So before we start talking about the 3-loss community, we got to first deal with the 2-loss community. And then Vanderbilt is 9-2 and just beat Tennessee at home. So Texas.
Yeah, that's the next one. Yeah, it'd be Vandy.
I got one message for Texas. All right, when I used to go fishing with my grandpa, I'd say, Grandpa, it's getting too hot. I'm tired. And this is what my grandpa would do. That's for Texas. Eat your hearts out, baby.
Let's go. What a great spot. We'll end the show right there. Fantastic
stuff. Don't make no short with that, bro. I don't want you making no damn short with that.
All right. Oh, my gosh. Sooner Nation, thank you guys for hopping on today. If you're interested in the recruiting notes, I know you just got to commit during the pod. So if you guys want to know more about that, get some insight on it, go over to ouinsider.com. Going to be some good signing day coverage. I'm helping with some of the content that they will be producing on some of the guys, just offering some analysis. I will say from an in-depth standpoint, man, nobody does it better than OU Insider. They give you just tons of deep analysis. They're doing a fantastic job covering the content or covering the recruits from all different angles, both just the recruiting story as well as the type of player they are on the field. But the big story of today, OU has really punched its ticket to the CFP. According to ESPN's All-State Predictor, OU 99% chance to get in, all but a done deal. So for the next 2 weeks, Sooner Nation, we sit and watch. But as always, we will see you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Later.